Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Dropped Frames. We've got a special episode for you guys today. We'll be talking, of course, about Battlefront and Guild Wars 2 for some fucking reason. Maybe some Halo as well. And I want to hear Zeke's thoughts on a Transformers game in 2015 as well. But that'll be in hour two. The first hour is going to be dedicated to something that we've been talking about for a while, I think, between me and Cohh and Zeke. And that's kind of a Dropped Frames how to stream guide. We don't know how many parts it's going to be. Right now, it's looking like it might be 5, but it might not. It might be longer. It might be shorter. We're still figuring that out. Today's going to be called Laying the Groundwork, and it's going to be everything before you stream, kind of. We might add a little bit later. There might be something in between. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's a work in progress. We're just doing it live. Our guest today is none other than Strippin, who's been on the show before. We brought him back because he actually just started streaming full-time himself, and it'll be a lot of fun to get his inside opinion on all this. But yeah, I guess just start off with how you guys been. How's the past week been? Since I guess it's the first full week since TwitchCon, right? That was 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
That feels like it was forever ago to me.
Yeah, it does.
It really does.
So long ago. But it's only been a week and a half. And Strippin wasn't even there. He did a 24-hour stream.
I didn't even go, so it doesn't feel like anything to me.
Yeah. Well, I guess let's just kind of jump straight into it. Some questions that I think are the important thing to ask when you say, hey, I want to stream is like, I added these in, Cohh. I don't know if you saw these yet. But like the first one is, why do you want to stream? Because if you're wanting to stream to be the next Cohh, the next Strippin, the next Zeke, the next Lyric, the next Summit, the next Soda Poppin', don't stream. Because it's very, very difficult to get. There's only what was the stat that they showed at TwitchCon? There was like 14,000 broadcasters or partnered streamers on Twitch.
12.
I think 12,000, and then there's 1 million accounts or something like that on Twitch. Some number that's astronomical like that.
Thought it was.
Is it
Yeah.
smaller than that or bigger than that?
No, I think it's bigger than that. But I don't want to speak out of turn. But I thought
There's
it was
a lot of people out there. The numbers go against you 100%. Because only I would guesstimate the top 600 can maybe make a living from streaming. If you're going by like if you go over to what's it called? Now I'm blanking out on the name. If you go over to Social Blade and look at like the top 600, I think 600 is around like 60 to 70,000 followers. Around that mark is where that number lies. And around there is kind of where you can start making a living from it, I would think. But everything before that, you better have another job because you're not going to be able to support yourself. You better be in school. You better be doing something else with your life because it's not as you don't flick on a stream and a year later just because you've been streaming for a year, you're not going to be successful. That's the numbers. That's how it is. And I think that's a lot of people get into streaming expecting it to, work after a year because you put in a year of work and it's not like that at all. That's just kind of like the harsh reality of it.
It's a big gamble.
It really is. Yeah.
It is a big gamble.
And I think even for, like established streamers, it's still a big gamble every day. Like you have to gamble on some things to either propel yourself forward or for the hope of propelling yourself forward and kind of making that next big leap for your stream. Cohh and Zeke, feel free to jump in on anything as well as Strippin here if I'm misconstruing your words or you don't agree with it, etc.
No, for sure. I really do agree a lot with what you're saying. Specifically, when you start streaming, it is very important, just like you said, to understand that there is a chance that no matter how much you stream or how hard you work, it just may not work for you. It's just like acting. A lot of people love to be actors. They want to be the next big actor in big movies, and they can work their whole life doing commercials and little shows, and it may just never pan out. So that being said, it's important to understand, always have that backup plan until you make it. Now, that being said, streaming is one of the very few jobs out there where you really have a chance of getting out what you put in, specifically work. And I don't necessarily mean streaming. I mean setting up your channel, making sure you're streaming the right things at the right time, making sure that all the times you're streaming are working positively towards the goals you've set to yourself, not that you're just getting in hours, because sometimes that can be actually worse for your channel. Really putting in the time and effort to understand what you're doing, plot a course, choose what to stream, when to stream it, and that kind of stuff will make channels successful as long as, again, you really put in the work and time. But again, none of that really matters if, you know, you put yourself in a position where if it doesn't work out, all of a sudden you're on the streets, or it's not working well, or, you know, it's very important to make sure you have that backup.
Yeah. Zeke, you want to add him?
Yeah. Can you? Is my mic okay?
Yes, you sound great.
Okay. Sorry, I had to have a workaround. Like you got to have contingency plans for everything.
Yeah, that's another thing that we'll get to. Is like you got to be flexible, man. You got to be able to do shit on the spot that'll work.
Yeah, Zeke's microphone dropped dead before the broadcast.
About a minute before the show.
About a minute before, and he had to literally dig up an old one.
He went through 3 different ones.
My old like Logitech headset microphone. That's like $12. You know, you got to make it work if you're gonna make it work. Anyway, as far as that goes, the point that was made about acting is exactly true. As far as streaming goes, it's you gotta approach it like you're doing it for free, forever.
Right.
Because if you don't approach it like that, you're just setting yourself up for heartbreak and disappointment every single day. You gotta. I mean, you can put effort and work into it. Like, I mean, I did over 200 different community theater productions for $0 because I loved it. And I mean, I've probably said that before, but the reason why I do it is because I love to do it, and I am willing and do it for free. Do I have the chops to make it as a real actor? Who knows? But that kind of, like, you can't go into it expecting you're going to make it.
Right. Stripping, you want to add in? I thought that was...
No, I'm just saying, like, you put effort into it, put work into it.
Right.
For sure. Like, any hour you spent putting effort into something that you love doing anyways, and making your craft or whatever you do like that better is not an hour wasted if you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah. Stripping?
I would say I spent maybe a year and a half not doing Twitch full time, just kind of like dipping my toes in before I took the leap, because I was one of those people that was like, all right, it is a gamble. And I did the gamble the first time on YouTube because I'm originally a YouTuber. So I already did that once and, you know, won the lottery, land on my feet. Okay, whatever. But I've seen so many people not like commit like I did and just not come back out the other side. So yeah, I spent a year and a half just part-timing Twitch, slowly building a small community and stuff. And then as the beginning of September, I was like, all right, I just make the leap now. And that's when I decided to really commit to it. So I for like the first year and a half of my Twitch career, I was not expecting anything from it. It was just like a hobby on the side.
And I also think too that that's a unique position as well, going from YouTube to Twitch, because you have like an established audience on some other platform on the internet. So someone that just like starts out straight on Twitch, it's going to be really rough. And I think one of the other things too that, you know, you have to be realistic of what you want from your stream and what you expect from your stream. But one of the other things too is like the mental aspect of it. You have to have enough of an ego to where people in chat won't fucking destroy you, but not a big enough ego that you're going to look like a fucking piece of shit when you're streaming. And there's a very like thin line in between that streamers fit into.
From YouTube too, because YouTube, like, you can edit YouTube. Every video, you get your hands on it first. You can make yourself look however you want to look on YouTube. I've met so many YouTubers who are nothing like they seem in reality, be it nicer or worse. But in Twitch, you can't do that. Everything's live.
Right.
So it's all on you to like present yourself in a certain way. And at the same time as well, I think one of the struggles I had, even though I had an existing audience, was that audience had been trained for 2 years on free content on YouTube. So moving them over and saying, all right, I would like to maybe do this for a living, and you let YouTube take a back seat. But the monetization from ads isn't the same on Twitch. You know, there's going to need to be some channel support. So I had to like almost build the community up again. Because obviously a Twitch community is very different from a YouTube community. Very, very different.
Right.
So yeah, I think no matter how you approach it, it is it's always a leap of faith.
Definitely.
In essence. Yeah.
I actually, when I first started, I did not know how to do that. And I got pretty severely trolled many times, not understanding how to properly react, not to take things seriously, to really let things roll off you. In fact, it's gotten to a point with me where, you know, every so often people kind of know how I do my stream and they come in and try to say some really messed up things sometimes. And it's kind of weird because I was having a discussion with one of my buddies yesterday. I was kind of like, you know, it's kind of scary how little some things get to you after you've been doing this for a while. Like people can say some pretty horrific stuff and you're just like, cool, thanks for the feedback. Totally. And it doesn't even, you know, and you just keep doing your thing. And but I gotta say, no question, the first few months, it was tough. And that's a lesson that every streamer kind of has to go through and needs to figure out the best way to handle it themselves. There's some streamers that stream for years and never figure out how to handle that. And you'll know that when you go in there and you see the same things triggering them over and over. But a lot of times people will make that part of their show too, which is, you know, another thing to consider when talking about that stuff, like rage, Zeke. But yeah, so it's it's really something to consider. And sometimes it really works well, like in Zeke's case. And other times it's something that, like in my case, you really need to learn how to control, or it just comes off as you being affected. And that's what the trolls want. And that's like the worst case.
It's also something that is interesting that I think has formed around that is, one, like the trolls win when you respond. And also even your fans will be like, dude, you got to just shrug that off. They won't even be like, hey, don't worry about what that guy said. They'll be, hey, shrug that off, you idiot. Like that's how someone will support you from your community. And a lot of times they're right, but it's like, that's not what you want to hear most of the time. So you got to get you have to get used to so many people have different ways of like dealing with stuff. And most of the time your community will bring that into it. And they have their own ways that maybe not will be the best for you, but they're still trying to be supportive of you. And you have to think about that. Because otherwise you're just going to be like, why the fuck did that guy just call me an idiot? I thought he was supposed to be like a part of my community. I
mean, they treat you how a friend would treat you, right? And you can't dictate how your friends are going to treat you.
Exactly.
At the end of the day. And it ends up when you build that relationship, it ends up coming off the same way. Yeah, it's just, you know,
right.
You just got to phone your mum after the stream and hear what you want to hear from.
Just call her up. There you go.
You know, that's the workaround.
Or you can call her up during the stream. I've actually done that. I called her up and told her people were being mean to me on the stream.
Just got to calm you down.
Yeah, and I was crying, and she said, "You just tell them to fuck off." I think it's exactly what Mom says. You just tell them to fuck off. You're great.
Right.
Thanks, Mom.
But what was it? I think Zeke, an episode ago or a couple episodes ago, we were talking about trolling, and one of the best things that I heard in that discussion. And I think it was Zeke that said this, it may have been JP, but basically that every time there's a troll in your channel, that is an opportunity to show your community kind of not, we talked about this in the panel, I think.
Yeah, that was Zeke talking about it, yeah.
Yeah, when it's an opportunity to show your community what you're about, what you do, you know, how, like every real troll, and sometimes they're great. And like also we talked about on the panel, sometimes trolling can be really fun, like benign trolling and trolling just to mess around. We have some pretty good trolls on my channel. I think every channel does at the end of the day. And that stuff's fine. It can really add some flavor to chat a lot of times. Yeah. But if there's those aggressive trolls, the ones that are obviously trying to get a rise out of the streamer, how the streamer reacts to that, and this is to the new streamers, how you react to that is a really good way to show your community what kind of channel and what kind of community you're trying to build. If you react very hostily and angrily, that's going to show them, hey, this affects him. We should kind of be a little careful about this. If you're jovial and joking, they're going to be cool about it too. If they let it roll off them and then make a kind of a statement about it, well, maybe the next time that troll happens again, you're going to see your community start making that statement to them. So it's really something that you can control. And again, learn to use that kind of stuff as an opportunity instead of taking it as, you know, a potential detriment.
Definitely. The next thing, it's more, there's not too much of a discussion about it, but choosing a name and at the same time starting your brand, creating your brand is pretty important.
Earlier the better.
One, just the name itself. Think about that for a second, because as much as I love Zeke, having an underscore in your name is really, really rough, and it's really hard to create a brand around that, and it's really it's tough. And same as Co, I think also you once said that you wish you didn't have the Carnage aspect to your name, right?
I'm back and forth. I could definitely do just Co,
Right?
but
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was in a situation where it was kind of easy to embrace it. But I know streamers that have been put in positions where that is not the case, and they very much regret their Twitch name, and that's never a good situation.
Yeah, I would say just stay away from numbers. Don't put symbols in your name. Don't. Fatality already put a number for a letter in his name. He's done it before. You're not going to do it any better. Don't do it. just go with like a very simple name. And if you're lucky enough that whatever name you use on the internet already is something simple enough that it's not taken, use that. Just go with that. You don't have to make.
You can come up with a cool name that you can Google, and there's nothing associated with that word.
Right.
You are onto something.
That's the other thing too, is like
big.
Google whatever you want to use and see if it's taken on YouTube, on
then
Twitter,
check the website URL,
on Instagram, on go to GoDaddy and see if whatever your name is .com is available. Like, do all of that if you're actually serious about streaming, because you don't want to get even 1,000 followers in and be like, I got to change my name. Fuck. Because that can be kind of detrimental to your stream in terms of growth, because one, those 1,000 people know who whatever your name is. They don't know who whatever your name is _ 347642, right? So you just got to be smart about that. Think about the name a little bit and make sure that you can get it elsewhere on the internet, because it's important. Maybe not to start, but eventually it will be.
Yeah. Well, why not do it at the start? And that's what I actually did luck out a little bit, because I have, the _ III is available, is my name on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Like the three biggies.
Right.
I've got, it's there. I got lucky with that. But he's absolutely right. If you want to have a chance of making this work, like pick a name that you can snag on all 3 sites, or all the sites that you want to be a part of.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't really think there's anything.
It also help like if you're a gamer, primarily solo or single game gamer, or primarily like Xbox gamer or PlayStation gamer. Check those too.
Yeah, get the gamer tags. Yeah,
get the gamer tags, because I'm Ezekiel on PlayStation, Xbox, or whatever, Microsoft Live.
Yeah.
I'm like across the board. Check those out as well. Don't forget those.
Yeah, exactly.
I think once you have an established fan base, they kind of fix your name for you. Like itmeJP, no one calls you itmeJP.
Itme was only there because I couldn't be JP.
Ezekiel the Third, you're JP, Zeke, and Co.
Yeah,
right. And that your communities have kind of done that. They were like, they almost fixed it for you. They were like, all right, this name's shit. We're gonna call you JP. And but yeah, definitely to start off with, like, give yourself the best possible chance in Twitch. Like, starting out, there's just little things you do, and one of them is just trying to get a really good, simple name that people can just like share around.
The other thing too is, and this isn't that much of a factor, but if you are a person to be worried about, keeping your personal life and your streamer life separate, don't use your name and your Twitch name. Like, do something completely out there that's not a part of your name, because then it'll be a little bit harder for people to make those connections. If you're that type of person, if you don't give a shit, then put your name inside of your name if you want to. It's really up to you. But obviously, it makes it a little bit easier, if your name's CohhCarnage, to find out the rest of his personal world, right? Right. And then one of the other things too that I added in, before you ever even start your stream, and maybe before you even ever think of this and think that you want to start streaming, go and experience some of the other communities on Twitch. It's one of the best ways to, one, get a ton of feedback for yourself on how that community reacts to that streamer, and kind of just learn how Twitch works, because it's a little bit, you don't want to game it too much. You obviously want to be sincere, but you can learn a lot just by watching other streamers or by interacting in a streamer's community. And maybe even get some friends there that, once you start, you can say, hey, I'm streaming now. You should come check it out. I'd love to have your feedback. I'd love to have you watch, et cetera, et cetera. At the same time, don't alienate that streamer, because we'll notice if you're in the chat and all you're doing is promoting your own stream rather than being a part of your community or being a part of that streamer's community, and it'll really piss off the streamer. Like that's one way to really, really not make friends on Twitch.
Absolutely. Another thing is if you're starting streaming and you keep dropping hints every time you come into the channel, that's something you're doing.
Yeah. Like, man, I just finished streaming. That was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it was great seeing you all, but I gotta go start my stream. See y'all later. You know, like that kind of stuff. That kind of, what you're doing advertising. Especially people that do that over and over and over and over. And it starts getting to that's like the only thing they say in the channel.
Repeat offenders.
Yeah, that's just not cool. And you're not going to see the streamer you're doing that in stop by your channel most likely, because that's
Well, I would say like it's pretty simple to be a part of this community, because if you're here and you know it, like, go to channels, watch stuff. If you don't do that, like football players watch football, basketball players watch basketball. They're fans as well. So if you're not a fan of this, I don't know why you'd want to do this,
Sure. Yeah.
And it makes it a lot easier to get like leg ups, because I know that there's tons of people that have been with me since the jump that is like, I want to let you know that in an email. It's like, hey, I just want to let you know you inspired me to start streaming. My channel is going up, and I just want to thank you, yada, yada, yada. And I'll take that, and, I recognize the name, and I will say in my channel sometime in the future, if I see you, that's when I say, like, hey, this person has started streaming. He's been a part of he or she has been a part of my community for a long time. Check him out. Give him a follow. They just started, that kind of stuff. I'm more than happy to do that. For someone who is a friend rather than someone who is just, a grabber or whatever you want to call him.
Right.
I think we're going back to the theme that, like, it takes time.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how you go around it, there are no shortcuts. Like, no matter how you go around it.
Especially that way is not a shortcut.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a really good point.
Yeah, definitely. So at this point, say it's been, 3 months, 6 months. You're like, all right, I want to do this thing. I want to get into this. I want to start streaming. You got to look at your equipment. We don't have like a full breakdown. I think that it would be cool if we had, like, how PC games put out like the recommended specs and the required specs. I think it'd be cool if we had that list. We don't right now. Maybe we'll do it at another time.
You know what we could do, JP?
Why
don't we all go around and kind of say about the progression from where we started and where we got to now?
Yeah, that would work. Why don't you start? It's your idea.
Okay.
So
sure. Okay. When I started on Twitch, I didn't have a webcam, and I used a $3.99 desktop mic, which I got 4 of at Walmart because the first one I got just didn't work.
Nice.
So that was how I started. I used that until a very nice viewer finally donated me the money. It was one of my first donations to get a camera. At that point, I got a $25 Rosebud camera. I don't even remember. It was some no-name Bobo brand. I didn't even know it existed. So I used that for a while. After that, I realized that my audio kind of needed a kick, and my first major upgrade was to a Blue Yeti, which I used for a long time. It is probably my most recommended early entry mic.
Yeah.
If you're good on your secondary job and money is a little bit not as much of an issue because this mic is kind of expensive, or you're in a position where you can save for it, a Blue Yeti is easy to install, easy to use with all the streaming stuff, and it will give you quality audio.
They're about $80, right?
80
Yeah,
to 100.
Like 80 to 100 these days.
Yeah.
The next step up that I actually moved to from the Blue Yeti is a Razer Siren, which, to be perfectly blunt, if money is an issue, you don't need to worry about that upgrade. But as somebody who kind of was really kind of pushing sound at that point, like I was using, like looking at my wavelengths and stuff.
And how long ago was this as well for this change, would you say?
The Blue Yeti was pretty early, about 6 months. And then I used that for like over a year.
Yeah, because you've had that for a while, I remember.
Yep. And then I switched to the Siren, which I liked more because it has kind of a warmer mid-range, which I really liked. And also the high end was a bit crisper. Again, though, the Blue Yeti to the Siren is more of a It's not really a huge increase in quality. It's more of a difference in sound than an increase in quality.
Yep.
And then from there, I went to my, and when I also got my Blue Yeti, I also upgraded to a Logitech C920. That is the magic camera.
Yeah, I would say that's like, if there's a de facto camera that pretty much 98% of streamers would use, it's the C920. More so than a life
like
cam.
Really nice camera and an HDMI input, you're not going to get much better for the price.
Yeah.
And then finally, I actually went to that guy for my next step of audio upgrade, and using a combination of itmeJP and a great Destiny streamer named King Gathalion, I have my current setup, which is an RC505 loop station, which lets me do all sorts of fun stuff. And that feeds into a 25 decibel cloud lifter, which helps my SM7B Shure microphone, which is all the stuff that I'm using now. And the reason I made this switch was because I really wanted to start playing with voice effects, and I still haven't sat down with this thing and really came up with more ones. And there's really not a lot of great voice effects software that I liked that was not a... That was not what is this connector called?
What do you mean? XLR?
XLR. Yes. Yeah. XLR, unfortunately, is like the professional microphone connections that's not USB. Yeah. And I wanted to make the switch to XLR, which is why I switched to this setup. And this one's been great ever since. In terms of voice quality, I could easily still get away with the Blue Yeti.
Yeah.
But because of, I had the ability to go to where I am now, and it was a relatively easy jump for me, thanks to some viewer help, then this is, where I am now.
I feel like I should be writing this down.
Setup.
The mic that he said, guys, is it's a Shure SM7B. Like that.
Yep.
Just Google
and it's
that.
a great mic.
Yeah,
I really
it's
like
it's a little pricey. But I think was it 300 when I got it was around 300.
Yeah, it was a little expensive, but this is one of these situations where you do get higher quality for paying more, which is not always the case, unfortunately, for some of this equipment. But this was one of the cases.
Also, if any of what Cohh just said sounds foreign to you, it probably will and should. That means you're gonna have to learn you have to be the type of person that can sit down and learn something by yourself, or go out and find the resources to do it. Because there's a lot of things in streaming, especially when it comes to getting the video stuff right, getting in the software, getting all that crap right, getting the audio stuff right, where either you need to have people that know what they're doing, you need to be able to find guides, or you have to know it yourself. And it can be pretty daunting as you start kind of making those steps yourself. So be self-sufficient in that regard as well.
That's one of those parts about putting in the work that you need to get what you want out of your stream.
Yeah.
I didn't know JP, you remember the first time I talked about this? I was like completely clueless.
Right.
It took me hours of shifting through stuff to understand the connections. What was a cloud lifter? Why did I need it? That kind of stuff. And again, it's just, if you want it to sound good, put the work in.
I will also say, someone on Twitter this past week said that they went to my text page and bought everything that I have. Don't do that. I have way too much. You don't need anything that I have to be able to stream. It's complete overkill. I would also say the same for most people here. You really don't need any of the stuff that we have. It's literally overkill. The other reason that we're doing it is because it's kind of like your stream evolves over time. That's something that you'll learn as well. You'll start getting little pieces every once in a while that'll improve a little bit more. Don't start off at the very top, because you'll get everything and you'll just be like, what the fuck did I just order? It won't make any sense to you.
I find myself in a lot of situations too where actual manufacturers of PC equipment and software will look to us to be the front runners for it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I actually get sent stuff too, which is really expensive, and it will be listed there, and you just don't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't need it.
Exactly. Strippin, why don't you talk about kind of your evolution of the gear?
I had a very strange path to Twitch streaming.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still a long one. I befriended a popular YouTube group. I worked for a year and a bit as a free volunteer, maintaining their community forums and stuff. And then I eventually became the community manager. And then I transitioned over to actually making YouTube videos. And that was probably
name names or anything.
Oh no, it was the Yogscast. So it was the Yogscast. And they actually gave me my first set of equipment and said, here's your first set of equipment. Here's everything you're gonna need. And so
you kind of got handed, in a sense, what you needed. Yeah.
what I needed. And now, obviously, I don't. Now I have my own PC that I spent money on. I use an SE Electronics E2200 mic. It's like a condenser mic. It's this one you can see here.
Yeah.
I'll just put it in shot.
Yep.
It's like $350. And it's just a regular stand mic. And the reason I use it is because it is really sturdy and it fits in my suitcase. So when I travel between LA and England, I take my mic with me in my suitcase. And that is the only reason I have it. The mic quality isn't any different from a Blue Yeti, as Ko said. So that's the only reason I have it, literally, is because a Blue Yeti would just get wrecked.
Right.
Traveling around all the time.
Maybe that's another important thing, too, is there's no, for the most part, there's no best thing for, like, across the board, except for maybe the Logitech C920, which is the webcam that you want to use. Like, every streamer has different things that they enjoy in their setup that they have specifically for them and for their setup. And I think over time, once you kind of get the bare essentials, you'll learn what you want for your type of setup. Like for Ko and for King Gathalion, which is where he got that looper from, that's really, it's not something that's required. But if that's what you want to incorporate to your stream, then go ahead and like search that out. But it's not something you need. The other thing too is I would also say when you're starting out and you don't have that many viewers, something like that might be somewhat of an annoyance if someone comes to your stream and you're just sitting there playing with fucking audio loops the entire time. Like that's a really quick way to turn people off from your stream if it's just like that is your stream. And so it's something to think about too is starting off normal and starting off as standard as possible actually benefits you. And then as your stream grows, you can make it more unique in that regard.
I think solid and simple is a good strategy.
Yeah.
To start with, definitely.
Exactly. Zeke, talk about your... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, my initial success on Twitch, just to keep in mind, I didn't have a webcam until month 3. And by that time, I had passed 10,000 followers. Like, I had gotten over the initial hump, and I did not even have a webcam. I was cussing my face off the entire time for every stream. Like, it was a totally different environment. You don't need any of this stuff to get started. And I probably, well, we all have different opinions on webcams, but to be honest, I don't feel that, like, the success of my stream has been based on a webcam. And I know that most streamers that use webcams would probably say that. So don't feel bad if you don't want to be on cam. Just keep in mind, like, I've heard people say straight up, yeah, I'd love to stream. I love the whole premise of it, but I don't want to be on camera.
You don't have to be on camera.
And I was like, that's what's holding you back? Like, don't worry. Like, do not worry about that.
Case in point, Lyric.
Yeah. But the other thing, too, is I really don't like using Lyric for any case in points because he's like the outlier, right?
He was like,
well, yeah, it's true, but I mean,
it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
In a webcam scenario, he is a good case in point.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to have a camera to stream. And that's something that I've learned over time.
A
great and real example is Bike Man.
Yeah, exactly.
He is an up and coming streamer. He is making his, well, he's not up and coming. He gets thousands of viewers. But my point is that he moved right through the ranks without a webcam. And we're not talking, he hasn't been streaming for years and years and years, and he still goes up every cast. And
that's great.
Yeah.
A camera. So you don't have to be a Lyric to not use a webcam. And there's lots of other great streamers that don't use webcams.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to be streaming for things besides kind of the entertainment value. Like if you're a really good how-to person, or you do great tutorials, or you're really good at Counter-Strike or LoL or something like that, you like the better you are on your presentation and the content you're putting out, the less you need that webcam.
Yep. I agree. Zeke, talk about your progression on gear a little bit.
My progression has some it started off really, really badly. Like my first stream on Justin TV was with my Toshiba laptop. Everything, the camera, the microphone, everything was coming out of my laptop, my Toshiba laptop.
I wonder if I can pull that VOD up.
Maybe not.
I'll try to find it.
It sounds amazing.
The title of it was, I think it was called My First Shit Show or something like that. And you see it when it actually comes on, you see me go like, and Man vs. Game is there. And you see when it comes on, I'm like, oh my God, it's on. And I get like freak out. It's in my bedroom. I don't know if it's anywhere, but that's where I started, was with just a laptop. And the reason, I have been through so much different equipment, not only because I break it, But and I'm rough on shit no matter what. But because I used to work at a pawn shop, and I had a selection of many and varied different things that I could choose from. So I've been through all sorts of different microphones. I used to use, where is it? I used to use a ribbon mic.
I remember,
that.
yeah, I remember that.
Nice.
A ribbon mic. It's a two-directional mic. You can go front and back, and it has a ribbon inside, and it's really, really good microphone that you can get like for like $60-70 on Amazon or something like that. But like I've been through headsets. I've tried the headset microphones. Remember Man vs. Game and I used to do the cheap Radio Shack headset microphones that were,
Were
like
those the ones that you kept having to reset
$28?
and they disconnect all the time?
Yeah, the electronics inside of them were pretty bad.
Yeah.
But the reason why we use those headset mics is for mobility, so I wouldn't have to like go back and forth away from a microphone. That was the idea behind it. So I could go this way or look up or whatever, move around, and still get the same amount of volume from my microphone. But the electronics inside were pretty bad. So if you want a good headset microphone like that, you're gonna have to pay a mint. I decided to move away from that just this year and do a stationary microphone, and I've never looked back. What I use now is just your straight up standard. Not this, obviously, because I had to work around today. Because sometimes audio things happen. Like, you have to deal with tech problems. You have to deal with them, and it sucks.
Yep.
Everybody does. From the highest streamer to the person just starting out, everybody gets tech problems. So I'm not using that microphone right now because something, who knows, went wrong. But the microphone I do use, and it's an awesome microphone, is a straight up SM58. Shure SM58 microphone.
Yep.
Unidirectional. Awesome microphone. I just have that and a pop filter, and I lucked out. At the pawn shop, they had a cheapo 4-channel mixer, or it's actually an 8-channel if you want to get technical. But it was an Alesis Multimix 8 USB mixer, and I found it, took it home, started messing around with it, and found out it had voice modulation on it. Happy accident, like. You can find a lot of neat stuff at a pawn shop or at a thrift store or stuff like that can, completely change your channel like it did for mine. I was farting around with it one day and I was like, this is pretty neat. and that was the thing from then on. It's just like shit happens. But I started off like with nothing, with just a laptop, and that's it. And it's just little pieces, piece by piece. Got another monitor. Got a little bit better microphone, got a mixer, and it's just extremely gradual. And I'm glad I did it that way because I figured out what I like. I tried voice changing software. I don't like it. I really don't. What I like is the tactile mixer. I can touch knobs.
That's exactly what I did.
I can move it. I can like get over there. I don't have to click anything. I can actually adjust it on the fly while I'm sitting here, and that's what I like. Some people are better.
Yeah. On the flip side, Gassy Mexican uses all software-based stuff for all of his audio, so you can do it either way. That's the only reason I'm saying that is there's no right way to any of this. There's a billion ways to stream, and that's kind of the point of what we're getting across. For my was that are you good there, Zeke? Did you cover everything you wanted to cover?
You obviously want to move on, so go ahead.
No. Like, what did you start off with the Logitech camera as well? Was that your next step up?
Zeke saw the JP head shake that wasn't there.
I don't do the head shake so much on stream. In person,
I went from, and I keep all of my shit.
You should also never fucking throw away or get rid of anything that you have on stream, because chances are you will need it or find a use for it at some point in your stream. 100%.
Microsoft LifeCam. This is HD.
Yeah.
Microsoft LifeCam. It goes 720. It was a great little camera for a while. It had like cool little thing that you could like move around and stuff.
Yeah.
Moved from that, and then I moved to the. There was another Microsoft cam. Oh, there it is. I still have the old like.
Yep, I had that one too. I had
that one.
I had that one.
And then I moved to the Logitech 910. I think
Yep.
this is 910.
That's the 910. The 930 is
I'm
flatter.
using that one right now.
Yep, the 910, and then I moved to the 920, and that's what I'm using right now is 920.
Yeah,
Wait,
I think they
I got
also.
922.
I think
I
there's a
have three
930
920s.
out. I've never used the 930, but I think it exists. I don't know what it does better, but I know they exist. I just don't know what it does.
The 920 does do some weird stuff with exposure. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm hoping the next iteration gets better with that. 'Cause that can be a real hassle with green screens.
It's the 930E.
I had to move my camera so close to my face to get it to be clear. I'd rather have it like a 2 feet back and still have it be clear.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So I haven't used this at all. There's a 930 for $130 from Logitech. So it's the first 1080p HD webcam to support H.264 with scalable video coding and UVC 1.5 coding technology. That's their gimmick. I don't know if that's even a big deal, but if you want to go that, you
A
can.
lot of words in there.
Yeah, literally, just get a C920. It's the best first investment you can make for your stream. I think any streamer will tell you that. And there are streamers that are. I'm 90% sure that Summit still uses that. So even if you're one of the biggest streamers on Twitch, it's still great. You can still use it. It's a totally fine camera to use. You don't need to go anything crazier than that.
$70.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of times they're also on sale. If you're someone that wants to hunt for sales, just go to like Slick Deals or Price Grabber or something like that, and tell it to put a notification on Amazon, and they do frequently go on sale. As for my setup, I started off on a normal camera. I think the first mic I used was a Astro A40 headset because that's who MLG was sponsored by at the time, and I got handoffs for those, or hand-me-downs of those. And then I think I went to the SM, what is it? The SM58. That's what Zeke was using as well. For me, it was I had just too many issues with it in terms of gainy and just it didn't sound that good. So eventually, I think about 2 years ago, I switched to the SM7B, and that's what I've been using. Video-wise, started out 920, used that until about 2 years ago. Then I switched up to I'm using a Canon G30 that feeds into a capture card, blah, blah, blah. And apart from that, it's pretty much just your standard, just a PC. Like that's everything else you need is just a normal PC. I'd been building PCs for the better part of my life, so I kind of know about that. But if you don't know that much about a PC, build it yourself. You'll save a lot of money. You'll also learn a lot about everything. So when it breaks, you know how to fix it. If you buy I'm sorry to anyone that has sponsors on the shows that for full-on PCs. It's very hard to buy like a full-on PC and repair it yourself because a lot of times those cases are built for them to get into it, and that's pretty much it because they are so form factor and they are so built to spec in that regard. So like one of the best things you can do if you're new to a PC and you've never built it before, build it yourself. It's not that difficult.
Absolutely my Achilles heel. I've never built a PC in my life.
Yeah.
And the amount of times it's gone wrong, and there's nothing I can do because I don't know anything about it.
It's a good thing to learn. It's a good skill to have.
It's like when you start driving. Like there's certain things you need to know how to do. You need to know how to change a tire.
Right.
You should know how to change your oil. Like if you really want to get into it, like that's the first step of like actually understanding how your car works is like, okay, I know how to change my tire. I know what happens when I have a flat. I know when I'm, my temperature's too high, like that kind of stuff. There are certain basic things you learn from building or getting actually into the case and looking at shit,
Yeah.
And tying a couple things together, when you do start upgrading your computer, definitely hold on to your old parts you're replacing.
Yep.
Specifically RAM modules, hard drives, and video cards.
Yep.
Because I can't tell you how great it is when you have a catastrophic failure, your stream goes down for an hour while you switch your old card out, and then you just play a game that's a little bit less intensive until your new card comes a few days later. That's the difference between having your stream up for those 3 days and not. And that's also assuming you know how to repair and fix your computer. Because if you don't, you could be talking about sending that nice CyberPower or iBuyPower or wherever you buy a computer away for 3 weeks. And if you just started streaming and you're getting some traction and all of a sudden your computer disappears for 3 weeks, you're up the creek.
Yeah. There's a reason I have
when you know how to do that. I mean, I have a backup computer these days.
Exactly.
So if one of my computers goes down, I can throw on another unit and go from there. That's how serious you can be about it. So yeah, the more you know about that stuff, the better off you are, and more
Yeah,
prepared.
what it also helps, like if you have a knowledge of that, and I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, and that's it. Um, if you go someplace that has like a pawn shop that has like used computers, you go in there and you can cannibalize them. You go in there, you can buy a cheap setup. If you only need a couple of things out of it, you can go in there, grab that thing and take pieces out of it. Say like, I need more RAM, I need more of this, I need more of that. You can take like the hard drives and the RAM and stuff, and then because then like you can use the parts from the thing, and you don't need to actually have the whole thing.
Yep. Exactly. I think in terms, I do want to release like a recommended and a what recommended and what required like spec list for streaming. I think that would be cool to like actually iron that stuff out. There's no way we could keep it updated, but to put out a normal list would be kind of cool.
More we could put setups where we can say, if you get this setup, you will be able to do X.
Yeah,
and
true.
and that way at least you can kind of sync up whatever you're going to be doing. But that is definitely something we want to do. It probably won't be this episode, but yeah.
No, I think I would think the next episode will maybe get into like a 2 PC versus 1 PC, and there's not a winner there. It's just a different thing.
Well, there is. I disagree.
And that's
I'm a firm believer in 2 computer streaming.
Yeah, I think most of us would agree, but there's still a bunch of people that 1 PC stream and they do just fine.
That's true.
Some of us have never had 2 PCs at a time to stream with.
Well,
exactly.
Again, like it, and I didn't for my first year and a half. That was something I had to save up for big time.
Yeah. I think that's definitely an end game.
Yes.
situation.
Yes, I would agree. Yeah.
I agree.
And I can say I'm not there yet.
What's really cool though is, and I've talked to a lot of tech guys about this. If you're kind of one of those tech heads that already has stuff laying around your house, like that's kind of your thing anyway. If you have the ability to set up a machine just to handle the streaming, doing that off the bat can really help, especially if your main computer is not that good.
Yeah.
Because then you can really put all of those resources towards gaming. You can use a not so great backup machine for the streaming, and you're getting a lot more quality of that. But again, we'll probably cover that in another episode.
Yeah, it might be an entire episode. Some of the other things coming up next, we'll talk about scheduling, which is pretty important. We don't really need to spend too much time on this because I don't think there's too much to really debate about it. But like when you start out streaming, the best way to do it, you can be the person's like, I'm going to stream right now for an hour and a half, maybe. Or if you set up the proper times, it really gives people, even if you're starting out with 0 viewers, making that schedule for yourself is one of the best things you can do across the board for your, for mental reasons, for keeping it like an actual job and not something that's fun the entire time, if that makes any sense. It gives you almost a purpose to streaming if you have a set schedule. What those schedules will vary from person to person and streamer to streamer. It really needs to be what works best for you. There are better times to stream for newer streamers, and I would say most of the time it's Code, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think most morning to like mid-afternoon streams would be the best, or late night would probably be the best for growth.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of the, and I'm giving you my weeks of research here, guys.
Yeah.
One of the best times to stream on Twitch right now, earliest in the morning, generally around 2 to 3 a.m. If I had more drive for growth, my stream would be at every day between 2 and 3 a.m.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, Ello, absolutely nails it. He's an app. People say I'm a beast for streaming all the time. Dude, people like Ello, wherever they do stream, it's always at like 3 in the morning. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like that, I just can't function that early. It's not for me. So what I did is I did a lot of testing, and everyone's going to be different. But I found the best time for me where I can relatively every day get up and feel okay, is between like 7 and 8.
And that's Eastern time.
Eastern time.
Eastern time. Yeah.
And that's why every day I start at 8 o'clock EST. Now it's not the best time because I'm there, to put it bluntly. And one of the reasons I picked 8 a.m. was because there wasn't a CohhCarnage. There wasn't a big streamer that was at that time.
Right.
And there's other time slots like 8 a.m. that are looking for people, or that are looking for streamers, that all the general population, the people that know all the big streamers and they're looking for a place to chill in the morning. When people like Ello aren't on, there's very few other people.
Yep.
And when Ello is on, he's usually killing it around those time slots. So yeah, it's a good time.
Totally. And then the other big one too is games. I think everyone for the most part, unless you're involved in like esports or you really love a particular game, a variety gamer is kind of what they are. A variety streamer is what I think most people want to be. I would say when you're starting out, stick to 1, maybe 2 games max and only stream those games, because it's very hard to grow a community if you're constantly hopping from game to game, which have their own community, if that makes sense. Like, it's a difficult thing if you're always changing games for people to, one, find you, unless you're going to kind of try to find the trickle-down effect, which is another thing I think we could probably spend an entire show on Twitch and try to catch those viewers.
Yes.
So my advice would be stick to 1 to 3 games max on your stream, and maybe change those. If you're just starting out, you can change them like once a month, but don't stream a game for a day and then move on.
I think once you reach a point where you can hit the first row or 2 on any game you play with your viewership, then you can start changing the game and playing whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because you're going to pull an audience for that genre. But like when you're starting out and you're sitting at the bottom of that page chronologically for that game and you're changing every day, it's really hard for people to find you.
Yeah.
You're just lost in a sea of people doing exactly the same thing.
The other thing too, and I saw this yesterday with Battlefront, if you're getting a game that's massive on Twitch, if you're a smaller streamer, it's going to be really hard for you to get any traction in that.
Well, and we gotta be careful with this, because I have a great example for you. Even though I fully agree with what you guys are saying right now, I will say that regardless of everything you're playing, always be looking out for 2 things: opportunities that are there, and opportunities for you to create opportunities. A perfect example of this is a streamer, an up and coming streamer. His name is Darkness, and he has some numbers after it. He got early access to the friends and family.
Oh yeah, I saw him yesterday. Yeah,
he was one of the first people on Twitch that was streaming it. This guy that averages a couple hundred viewers a day had 13,000 people in his channel yesterday.
He got up to $3,000 when I was watching. Yeah.
Whenever we talk about transitioning levels on Twitch, that's exactly what we're talking about. You watch this Darkness guy, and his average numbers are going to start going up just because he had this big flood. His name is Darkness_429 for anyone who wants to check him out. But that kind of stuff, that is what you need to be looking for.
That's
and even if you're a small streamer,
situation though.
See an opportunity like that you even think you could get on, do it.
Yeah. I think it's definitely like a big break, but at the same time, you got to look for those, like Coach said.
You have
to work for them a lot of times.
Example being, he had yesterday he got 16,000 followers, or no, 1,600 followers. Went from 53,000 to 55 basically, and then today he got 500 more followers, and it's just because he's able to stream that game.
Yeah,
So,
but another example, yesterday again he had 13,000 viewers. Today, I think I was looking through the things and he had like 1,000.
and that's still a shit ton.
He may have
That's a
less
huge
viewers
jump.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
But because he had that big first day and he got all those extra followers, like he can now go play another game and his average is going to be higher because he just got all those followers. So it's a big ripple effect. And if you really learn how to capitalize those ripple effects, then you can move up through those channels even faster.
The other thing too, which we'll probably spend a portion of this like how to stream outline on, is be ready for the ups and downs, because that guy will probably experience a down pretty soon, and I hope he's ready for that, because it's once you get to that viewership, you're like, man, this is fucking awesome, and then it's gonna drop just because that's what it does, and you got to be ready for that mentally.
Dude, just like me with H1Z1, I used to average 15,000 people. Fairlight Excalibur, he averaged 15K when Arc came
with
out.
Arc, yeah.
Now he's around 2. And I'm generally not these days around between like 2 and 3.2. So yeah, absolutely.
So just
You're
be
gonna
ready for the
crash.
ebb and flow.
There's always a crash with a boost.
There is
Always
there
a
is.
bell curve.
Exactly.
Always a bell curve.
And I would also say, like, how do you guys, say you're just starting out, say you have 0 followers, do you stream a single player game, or do you play a multiplayer game, or do you play a game that you have fun with? Like, what would you go with there?
The big thing I would start, I'm just to be perfectly clear here, if you're really trying to succeed, I generally don't, if you're streaming and you have between 0 and 3 people watching you, I am in the boat where I would recommend you turn off your stream and lay some more groundwork. Talk to more of your friends, talk to your guilds, make posts on Reddit, Steam of the game you're playing. Like if you're if you're in there and you're trying to move up a list, like it's not an if you build it, they will come. Do some extra work, do some groundwork. Tell all your buddies, tell all your Facebook friends, tell them how important it is if they just hang out in your channel and watch you.
Yeah.
Interact with everyone you can. But that being said, that's again, it's going to be going where the viewers are. But some older games like the Fallout 3s and the Skyrims, I've seen new channels get built on those older games because they start doing playthroughs that get picked up by 50, 60 people. Then that puts them in that position where they can go to the larger games at off hours a week after they've released, and all of a sudden they're getting 500, 600, 800 viewers.
That's the other thing.
I've seen that happen multiple times.
Yeah, the other thing too we've talked about on the show, going back and streaming a game after it's been out a week and all the big streamers have already gone through it, never will play it again, and picking up the second week, it's a great way to get a bunch of new viewers into your channel.
That's a sweet spot. Off hours, the second and third week of big releases that are single player, that are beginning to end, and then you're done. That is a huge opportunity.
Even though he gets a lot of shit for doing it from his friends, Adam Coble is like championing that on his channel, and he does so good viewership-wise for someone that just started streaming about 4 months ago. Because he picks up the... It sounds negative, but he's picking up the scraps of all the big streamers from the week prior. But it works so well for his channel, and he averages so much higher numbers than someone should at that age of the stream.
It's a really smart move, man.
Yeah.
It's a really smart move.
Yeah.
Another person that's been playing some games recently came out, Silent Osiris, who got his sub button today.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's like,
oh, he did?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got
Osiris
it.
got his sub button today.
See, but he had a weird thing where he did a cooking show. So if you can be unique, you might get into it.
He got his most views during his cooking show, didn't he?
He broke like 1,000 viewers on it.
1,000. Yeah. But he's also one of those people that kind of picks games, but he does a lot of off the wall stuff too. But he's also been really good with game selection.
Yeah.
Which has definitely helped. But yeah, by the way, you could go sub to him right now.
You could. I think the other thing too, you kind of hit on it there before we get to the actual testing aspect, is the initial promotion. One of the best things to do, if you go on Twitch and you look at every stream that has 0 or 1 viewers on it, that's probably a good, I would say 40% of Twitch streams are the people with 0 and 1 viewers. If you go and tell your parents, maybe your grandparents have a computer, maybe your friends have a computer, just to sit in your channel, having 5 viewers compared to 0 viewers is night and day difference for just people coming into your stream. Because it gets your name above 40% of the other streams on Twitch, and people will like the discovery rate is so much higher if you do that.
A good example of that is Future Man.
Yeah,
Future Man tried Twitch multiple times before being Future Man, and he got nothing.
Right.
Nothing. And he went away and he did more research, and he was like, "How do I get people to come and stay?" And then he came up with the Future Man, and that put him high enough that his channel took off.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's
a line.
of him like, all right, this isn't working for me. I need to do more research. And he went away and he researched a character, like a persona that he felt would work with him and also just get him above that bar. And it worked.
Yeah.
Not only that, though, you look at FMG's channel now and you can see in every scene he does the work, the time, the hours that he's put into designing his consoles, coming up with his intro videos, coming up with all the different things on his channel. That's the kind of hard work that will make a brand new channel shine.
Right.
People will come into that channel just browsing and go, holy shit, this is new.
I think
follow. And then they're going to go to Twitter and they're going to blast that out. And then that's 10 more followers. And maybe 2 of them will blast out. And it's just a chain reaction. And I mean, with FMG, Twitch noticed him.
Yeah, he got a huge break there. Yeah.
You want to talk about there being too many streamers and the playing field's not even and you'll never succeed? Look at Future Man Gaming. He's like, what, less than a half a year? He put the work into his channel. Twitch saw it. Everyone saw it. He exploded on Reddit. This is the kind of stuff that is going to become the new standard.
Chat, I was just kidding. Future Man is totally real. It was the character thing was a joke. He's definitely from the future.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No,
so,
I again also thought it was a joke. But you meet him in real life, and it's clear that he's not from this.
Also, if you're watching this in VOD, go watch the episode of Drop Frames with Future Man Gaming where he tells the story. Because like, I don't think any of us knew that he had a channel prior to Future Man Gaming that existed, and then he said, "Fuck it, it's not working. I'm going to do something completely different."
What was that name again?
I don't remember his original stream.
Falcon.
I was gonna say it was like Hawkman or something like that.
Falcon, yeah.
There you go.
Was it Falcon?
Falcon. And it just did, he was just like, all right, fuck this. Took the beak off and then put the visor on.
There you go.
Went forward in time and saw how he could make it work.
Yep.
Well, he bring up an interesting point with Future Man. I mean, I'm sure all of us get from time to
The
time.
Power Falcon, that was it.
Power Falcon. Oh my God. Sounds
Like
like
a Smash Brothers
birds,
move.
like Birds of War from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We're the Birds of War. I'm sure we all get we all get those emails asking us like from time to time, what can I do and that kind of stuff. And Future Man's like, it's a good example because one of the pieces of advice that I've always given is be yourself. Just be a bigger version of yourself. Just be a more energized version of yourself. Like, I had this conversation a couple times at TwitchCon with people, and if I have success, it's because I'm not like, people can smell bullshit, I think. And I don't. And Future Man is a character, but it's not bullshit. It's like wrestling. It's like, it's not necessarily. It's there. That person is inside of them. They're just accentuating that. Like,
Yeah, they're channeling their passion into it.
Exactly. My loudness, my rage, my obnoxiousness, all that stuff is me. It's just with the filter taken off. You know, like in polite company, I won't like scream and rage in your face. But like, if it's my channel, that is shut up. That is honest. It's honestly me, but it's just a non-filtered version of me because
Sure.
Yeah.
It's more, in my opinion, it's more entertaining to watch someone who takes all of the things that they would like to say in polite company and says them or does them, or, you know, same goes for acting like a fucking goofball.
Right.
I have like a goofball all the time because I love it. I relish the opportunity to act like a goofball, and I don't get enough opportunities in real society. You know? So I take that opportunity on my channel to put on a stupid helmet and fucking grab a weapon and fight off imaginary raiders and stuff like that. It's just a less filtered version of myself.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. I think it's a very good point that, like, on the rare occasion, like with the Battlefront guy, the game is what pulled in that audience for him. But 99% of the time, they're there to watch you as a person, your personality. So it doesn't matter what game you're playing, as long as you can be you.
Yeah, I think the people that stay around after the fact will stay there because of you as a person, right? And those are the people that you want in your channel.
That's the people you want to build your community around.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
It's kind of interesting, and I'm gonna throw this little tip out there because this is a really weird tip from a really weird place, but it's worked really well for me, and maybe it'll work for some new streamers. Shakespearean actors and theater actors from back in the day, there were no cameras, and these were sometimes in places where people were sitting really far away. So one of the things they did first was they actually had masks of different emotions, and they would hold those masks over their face. And that evolved into what's called, like, I don't know the exact expression, but it's called theater face or something. And the premise is that anytime you're playing a game and you feel something, just like Zeke and JP were talking about, how you kind of kick it up to 11, not that you're being not how you feel, but you're being very clear about it. And that's one of the things I do on my stream. So anytime, you know, instead of, if you see something that's disgusting to you, you're like, oh man, that's disgusting. But you could also be like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, and that's two completely different experiences for a viewer. And back in the day, that's a lot of times like how they would look for actors and stuff, how expressive they could make themselves, how they could tie what they're doing into the rest of them. So it's kind of weird because I've seen some streamers, and I actually didn't do this before my kind of big like change for my channel, but a lot of people were telling me before that I wasn't expressive, that I would, when I reacted, it was, you know, just really kind of, you know, just kind of, you know, it wasn't really there. So doing that kind of thing where you're not faking it by any means, but you're accentuating how you're actually feeling. Because if it's not genuine, trust me, your cast will know.
Yeah, they're gonna know.
But at the same time, yeah, I mean that doesn't work.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's a good way to kind of get your point across. You know, that I think can kind of help your show overall. There's a lot of other streamers
to be entertained at the end of the day, as well.
Yeah.
Like the audience is there to be entertained.
100%.
So,
100%.
entertain them.
I think that's the groundwork that you want to lay. I think that kind of rounds out the first portion. I think, the initial graphics and the testing will kind of come into the next part where we talk about your first stream, which I think most people hear that and they're like, why are you going to spend an hour and a half talking about your first stream? It's because a lot of shit can happen and you're going to want to know what's going to happen in your first stream and kind of break down everything from the actual. I think we're going to I'll put up XSplit on this other monitor and kind of go through, or I'll put up OBS and kind of go through all the different things that you can do there. Probably OBS because it's free, I think would be what we would recommend to people. But we might do an XSplit as well. I would assume most tutorials are going to be better on the internet that you can go and find more in depth, but we'll definitely do like a rough run through of that. And then graphic wise, we could talk a little bit about it. I think that you shouldn't do too much, but just having a simple square around your camera to put your camera in on a stream looks miles better than just having your webcam somewhere on the screen. And so if you can do that, or you can find, I'm serious when I say go to Google Images and type in transparent box and you put your webcam inside the transparent box, that's all you need. Like, you don't even need someone to make it. You could just steal it from Google Images.
Now, is this assuming you have a green screen?
Yeah. Well, no. Even if you don't have a green screen or no,
I have a green screen.
You're saying have a border.
A border.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
If you have no artistic talent, get a border. The first thing you'll probably find is people will help you. Most of the time, if in your chat, if you're lucky, you'll find someone that understands how to do or manipulate Photoshop at a base level where they can make something like that for you.
This is all ties into being a part of a community, to being part of a channel. Like, become a regular in some people's channels, because I swear to God, if you become friends with people, it makes it so much easier. Like, going into other people's channels all the time, becoming recognized as a regular, that someone that watches, someone that's a fan, someone that's part of it, then it becomes easier to be like, I want to start streaming, but I don't know how to blank. And there will be 20 people in that community going like, oh, how do you want to blank? You want to blank like this, or do you want to blank like this? And they will walk you through it step by step, because we are more than, our communities are more than willing to help a regular member. Like, if one of my people that comes to my channel all the time said had a question about video cards and how to install them or something like that, and said I'm having trouble with my video card, just offhand.
Right.
And if you've been there enough and you've been there a lot and you're a recognized member of the community, people are so willing to help you. Or you say I'm having trouble coming up with an idea for a logo. Can you help me? Anybody? You'll get 10, 15 people going how about this? What about this? Even you'll have conversations with people. That's my first logo was after being a part of Justin TV and Twitch for a while. I was okay, finally I might start my own channel. And I was a part of communities, not just Man vs. Game. I was a part of all 4 or 5 other communities that I would regularly frequent. Put a tweet out there and I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing my own channel. This is my idea. I want Z and 3 in the logo. Can you help me? And I got 10 artists just throwing me pixel art, throwing me things they drew, stuff like that.
And now you've got a wall of that.
And yeah, and I've got my fridge.
And it's all good. It's all really high quality stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. If you make friends with these people, you're making friends with all sorts of people that you don't even realize. You're making friends with IT people. You're making friends with audio engineers. You're making friends with artists. You're making friends with game developers that you don't even know you are. That's the awesome part.
Straight up, all of the infrastructure I have on my channel, the website, the APIs connecting it, the custom token system, everything on my channel started and came from viewers.
Yeah.
My main infrastructural guy, who I basically hired, started as a viewer. Absolutely. Couldn't be more right.
So I think that kind of concludes the phase 1 of laying the groundwork. Hopefully that was helpful. We were kind of all over the place, but I think there's a good chunk of that that you'll want to listen to. Hopefully people find it useful in the comments. This particular VOD will be going up by itself on YouTube. So if you want to go back and watch it, you can do that later tonight when that goes up. But we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to come back and kind of swap back into the normal show. Talk about what we've been playing. A lot of Battlefront. I want to talk to Zeke about Transformers because I know he's playing that yesterday. I guess we'll talk about some Guild Wars 2 because that's what Sam's been playing. And I'll just talk shit about Halo and the Master Chief Collection because fuck that piece of shit.
You are so bad.
It's almost like you
But
should have a
so
show about it tomorrow
Bad
at
at
8 p.m.
Halo.
No, that's Destiny. Although it's kind of the same game.
Oh.
Let's be honest with one another.
Oh, Halo Destiny. Oh,
Guess what I picked up and downloaded last night, JP.
Can we find out after the break?
Yep.
suspense.
Suspense. We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll go into the second half here at Drop Frames. Don't go anywhere. More Drop Frames coming up right after this. We'll see you then.